We want to take a few minutes today to catch up with one of our alumni. You know, it's always an awesome opportunity just to sit down and hear all the great things that are happening with our students. And today I'm joined by Christian White. He's a 2006 graduate of the Academy. And it's been awesome to see all the things that have been happening in his life over the past few years. So Christian, welcome. We appreciate you being with us today.
Thank you.
And first of all, maybe tell us a little bit about your ELCA experience, when you came here, things that happened, and then we'll get into some of the other things that are happening with you now.
Yeah, so I was actually forced to come to ELCA. My dad really wanted me to have a solid Christian education, and my goal was really to play baseball at a very prestigious high school. And so he forced me to come here in 8th grade, and then the plan was for me to move somewhere else where I could really pursue baseball. And after spending my 8th grade season here playing ball and just being around the faculty and staff, I really just felt a desire to stay at ELCA. And so I continued staying here and continued playing ball here and just really enjoyed it. Kind of fast forward to my senior year of high school, I was really wrestling with some really deep-hearted questions of just some struggles that I had. And fast forward to my senior year, I was really wrestling with some tough questions about life, and really dealing with some internal struggle. And so I was starting to search and listen to those around me, find out where they're finding hope. And so at ELCA, I was confronted with several Christians who lived out their faith faithfully before me. And the key was that they not only share the gospel with me and share the love of Jesus, but they loved me like Jesus. So I saw an integrity in what they were saying through the way they were living. And I started sensing a real hope and joy and peace in them that I didn't have myself. And so it was very appealing to me, just their quality of life. And so I started asking the question, is Christianity really true? Because I'd never really seen true Christianity lived out, at least that I was aware of. And so I remember very vividly conversations I had with students, with teachers, and it really made a huge impact on me. And I gave my life to Christ in large part due to their love and testimony toward me and the way they lived in front of me. And so when I was a senior in high school, I gave my heart to Jesus.
Well, it's definitely, we're glad that your dad forced you to
Yeah,
make that
yeah.
change, and it's awesome to hear how Kingdom Education influenced you. And the baseball thing worked out too, right?
It did. We actually won a state championship my senior year, and so it was a great team and just a lot of fun to be a part of that. And then went off to college to play ball for a few years. Didn't do as well in college. Kind of spent my arm a little bit too much in high school. But I wouldn't have had it any other way. So,
well, Christian did a fabulous job while he was here at school, not only as a student leader, but also as part of our baseball program, and it's awesome to hear your testimony. I think that really emphasizes the reason why we exist is to see students come to know Jesus Christ. But what's been neat is how God has continued to use you. So move past high school, college, marriage, family, there's a lot of things that have been happening over the past few years.
Yeah, that's right. So I met my girlfriend at the time, met her at ELCA. She was actually one of the big reasons why I came to know the Lord, was just her testimony and faithful witness to me. She didn't like me in any kind of like boyfriend-girlfriend way, but soon after coming to faith, I just really wanted to date her. She's awesome. She's beautiful. So asked her to be my girlfriend, and the rest is history. We spent 4 years long distance, which is really tough, and then got married as soon as we could. So
awesome.
she did the sorority thing in college, and I did the baseball thing, and then,
Kimmy Shoemaker, formerly.
Yeah, Kimmy Shoemaker, now Kimmy White, and we now have 2 beautiful daughters, Madeline, who is 1.5, actually 18 months now, and Charlie Ann, who's 4. She just had her 4th birthday.
Awesome.
So, yeah.
So tell us about college, seminary, some of those things that have happened over the past few years.
Yeah, the Lord really worked on my heart in college, and and I felt a real sense of a desire, an aspiration for ministry. I didn't know what I was going to do. All I wanted to do was just play baseball. But the Lord started working in my life after I became a believer and started transforming the way I saw living my life and also playing baseball. So I went to college with the desire to be a minister of the gospel to those around me. So most of the people I played ball with were not believers. And so I had the opportunity to really start flexing my faith before them and just sharing to them the love of Jesus, and saw even our first semester someone come to faith. And so it was really exciting to be a part of that. And then after college, I continued just having a desire for ministry. So Kimmy and I got married. A week and a half later, after our week and a half after our honeymoon, we moved up to seminary to Southeastern and just continued studying. And we went with a desire of really looking to see, is church planting, is planting a church in an underserved area, an area that is absolutely necessary for the gospel to be in, is that what we're going to commit our lives to? And so this journey of 5.5 years has led us to a point of saying, yes, Lord, this is what we want to do. We want to plant our lives and make a significant impact among people who don't know Jesus.
Yeah.
And so that's what we've committed to.
And really that's the most exciting part of what we're talking about today, and something we're really reaching out to our Elka families, not only to celebrate all that the Lord has done in Christians' life through Elka ministry, but also the next step for Christian and Kimmy as they're looking to plant churches not too far away from here, and how we can be a part of that. So maybe take us through that process, because y'all looked at a lot of areas before you settled on Atlanta.
Yeah, so I'm a very analytical person, so I have to see everything before me, had to visit all the places, and before we could make a decision, have the resolve that this is where the Lord wants us. But a few years ago, we had a desire to really go out west. I really wanted to do like a frontier work, do a work in an area that's just very vacant with a gospel presence. And so we thought we'd end up in California somewhere, or like Salt Lake City. Visited those places, really felt a stirring in our hearts for being in an area like that. We're obviously from South Atlanta, and Atlanta is a major focus right now for church planting. There's definitely a big need, but we didn't really know why it was a big need. We were feeling a sense of Atlanta's in the Bible Belt. There doesn't seem to be a need for churches, and so we just kind of half-heartedly visited Atlanta just so that our parents would be, kind of appeased with us checking it out and then moving to California. But when we went to Atlanta, our hearts were just completely just stirred by what we saw. And one of the things that we realized is that Atlanta is not the Bible Belt. So inside the perimeter of Atlanta, there was actually a study recently done that 92% of the residents inside the perimeter of Atlanta have no inclination towards church. And of the 8% that do have an inclination, they may attend just twice a year, Easter and Christmas. So it doesn't necessitate belief, but there is a sense of church belonging among those 8%. So we started really thinking and praying, is this, Lord, where you desire us to be? And so we loved Atlanta. We visited kind of a final trip out west to make a final decision. And the whole time we were out west, we just couldn't stop thinking about Atlanta. And the cool thing about it, the affirming thing, is when the Lord puts the desire on your wife's heart before he solidified it on my heart. I saw a joy and a passion for Atlanta in my wife that I had never seen that level of desire and passion in her before, outside of hopefully marrying me, but it was very clear.
The specific area then in Atlanta y'all are looking at is...
Yeah, so the specific area we're looking at is Glenwood Park, and Glenwood Park is a hub community to East Atlanta. Historically, the East Atlanta area, Grant Park, Ormwood Park, a lot of these areas, Kirkwood, were very rough areas. But what we've seen is this great revitalization of up and coming families moving into the area, young professionals. Lots of millennials who just want to have access to everything. And the sad part about that is a lot of times the old neighborhood is kind of forced out. So that's a sad byproduct. But what we're seeing is a lot of new life being injected into the East Atlanta area. So it's a very up and coming area. It's a very exciting area. but it's an area that's just completely vacant of a strong gospel presence. And so what we've tracked is, because it was such a rough area at one point, a lot of churches kind of moved out into the suburbs. And so even though New Life has come in, it's still very very vacant for a gospel presence. And so we were really intrigued by that, and really intrigued by Glenwood Park because it's such a hub community. So every neighborhood of East Atlanta has its own distinct flavor, and people don't live there by mistake. They choose the area they desire to live in. Specifically, David Crowder lives in a neighboring community called Cabbagetown, and a lot of people in Cabbagetown are going to look like David Crowder or guys like that. So they pick their particular area. And the one thing that Glenwood Park has that those other areas don't have is that it has the draw of all those communities. And so the people that live in the surrounding communities want to do life, want to live, or want to hang out on Friday night in Glenwood Park. And so you're just seeing this draw. So what we have seen is, if we plant a church in Glenwood Park, in a much needed area of Atlanta, we have the ability to draw people from those surrounding communities, that if we move to maybe Cabbagetown or Grant Park, maybe we wouldn't have that draw of those other communities.
So for those who may not understand church planting, sometimes they think, all right, we're going to go, we're going to look for a building, let's put a sign on the door, let's get this thing started. But really, that's not the exact process. There's a lot more to it. So what are first steps for you guys as you dive into this community, and what do you see this happening? What are the phases that will happen over the next few years?
Yeah, so church planting is a lot like a business startup. It revolves around partnerships and relationships. And so we're going with a team of so far 8 people, and we've got others who are praying about being a part. But we have 4 families moving down from Raleigh to be a part that said, yes, we want to be a part of a church and see the gospel made known in Atlanta. So what we're doing is we're going down as missionaries to the city of Atlanta. And we just want to network, we want to connect, we want to build relationships with people. And as we do that, we find inroads into the community. So kind of our plan is in 3 steps. So we want to first love the community. We want to fall in love with the communities of East Atlanta. We want to serve them well. And then the second step is, through that, we're going to make disciples. We're going to see people come to faith by God's grace and see them start having a growing relationship with Jesus. And then through that, we're going to plant a church. So we don't start with the inclination that we're going to have a church building and that we're going to just set up service and people come. It is primarily through relationships and through just having people in our home, being out in the community, and just walking before people like Jesus did, the way people did for me when I was at Elka. And so that's kind of our plan, and that's the way we're going to move forward to see that happen.
So, one of the things we're looking forward to is not only as a school, but as a church, partnering with you in this ministry and helping. And so as we talk to Elka families, what are some things that we can do to help in this process of seeing this thing become successful?
Yeah, there's 4 primary ways that I envision Elka families and Eagles Landing First Baptist members supporting us in. And I just want to take a step back first. When we visited Atlanta, the guy in charge of church planning said when he came to Atlanta 6 years ago, there were 3 places that he said were the most strategic areas of Atlanta. And 2 of those areas had found churches or church planters to go in those areas. But for 6 years, he'd been praying for a church planter to go into Glenwood Park. Mm-hmm. And he said there's 2 things that are necessary for a church planter to go into Glenwood Park. Is they need the support of a strong sending church and partners. They need the financial resources to be able to go into a very expensive yet strategic part of East Atlanta, but we also need to have a high capacity leader who's able to facilitate the type of growth that we believe is capable of an area like Glenwood Park. And so they approved us for going into Glenwood Park, and so it was a really cool experience to be able to share that time with the church planning coordinator and how he had been praying for 6 years, and we're just humbled to be a part of that. And what we need in order to make this happen is we need 4 things. And so the way Elka families can support us is first by connecting. And so the way we would want to connect is connect with us, help us find relationships of people that you know that live inside the perimeter of Atlanta or East Atlanta. If you live in the East Atlanta area and are looking for a local church, connect with us. We want to be a part of your process and journey of growing in your faith as well. And then connect us with people or relationships or companies who you have connections with that can provide meaningful employment for our team members. So we're not going with full salaries. We're not going with the means to be able to just commit to full-time vocational ministry. But our team members want to live out ministry in the context of full-time employment. And so we've got people on our team that have IT backgrounds, teaching backgrounds, things like that. And so if you have connections inside the perimeter of Atlanta, specifically East Atlanta, we want to connect with you. And so that would be the first way. The second way is prayer. This journey for us has come out of an intense season of prayer. And so we really take seriously our prayer partnerships, and we would love for you to begin praying, how can I be connected to Parkside Church? And one way you can significantly partner with us is by joining our prayer team. And so we believe that's such an important part of our process, and that helps us be able to do what we believe God has called us to do. And so pray with us. And the third thing is to give. And so living in an area like Glenwood Park is very expensive. And to be able to do the ministry that we believe God desires for us to do is we have to be able to find the financial resources that are going to give us the access to do that. And we believe God not only desires for us to do a significant ministry, or have a significant ministry, but we believe He's going to supply those needs to make a significant impact, a long-term impact in East Atlanta that reaches all of Atlanta and the nations. And so the third way is to give. And so the fourth way is to go. So some families already have said, we want to be a part. We want to be a part of seeing the gospel reach Atlanta. And so what we desire is for you to begin praying, how would the Lord have us to support this church plant? And would the Lord even call me so far as to go and be a part? And maybe that means you just go for a year and you help us get started. Maybe it means 2 years. Maybe it means you give a lifetime like us to make an impact. Maybe it means you have a senior or a junior at Elka who's looking at a college. And there are some great colleges inside the perimeter of Atlanta, Georgia State, Georgia Tech. And you say, hey, I want to send my student to study at one of those schools, and I want them to be a part of seeing the gospel reach an area as well. And so what I can promise you is if you send your student up with us, if you're a student and you come up with us, we will care for you and we will mobilize you to make a difference on your campus. And we want to be a part of what you're doing. And so we want to be a part of your journey of discovering and your faith as well as proclaiming your faith in that area. So come with us, go with us, and encourage others to do. So that's the four main ways: is connect with us, help us connect with other people in the community, pray with us, give, and then go. And so those are the 4 primary ways that we're asking Elka families to really invest in what we're doing.
It's awesome. Well, we can see here how this goes full circle, and what a blessing it is to hear this testimony, how God called you to this school. Yeah. And even though it was a forcing at times, and there are many students who go through that process, the Lord was gracious to save and worked through not only this ministry, but many others that are part of it. And now to be coming back to this area and to be planting a church in East Atlanta, it's amazing. So, we wanted to do this today because we wanted our Elka families to know about this, but we also want to get behind Christian and Kimmy. We want to help them in this process in every way that we can. And attached to this video, you'll see a link and information in regards to their ministry, ways that you can help, ways that you can be a part of it. And I'm sure Christian would love to talk with anyone who might be willing or interested in being a part of it. But really appreciate you being with us, sharing that with us. This is Kingdom Education. This is why we exist, and we praise God for those opportunities. And we're very thankful that you invest in your children and having them part of Eagles Landing Christian Academy. Thank you. All right.